I wanted to talk about a couple of things that have happened in the past week or so. I was away from my computer for a few days, so some of this stuff is kind of old, but I still wanted to talk about it, so I'm making these videos, or this video at least. We have a couple of amusing stories I wanted to talk about, or a couple of amusing things. First thing I wanted to talk about is there was apparently some gaming curator list or something on Steam that supposedly narrows out all this quote unquote woke games, and it's like this game's woke, and this is why. And there was a bit of a controversy in those little echo chambers because Space Marine 2, which was a game that was being touted by these people as being the anti-woke game, and it's just a pure game that's saying fuck you to all the, you know, woke SJW bullshit just because this developer said this and the CEO said something vaguely alluding to culture war, but not really at all, but we're gonna misconstrue it to be about culture war. It was being touted as that, and then all of a sudden this curator page comes out. It's like, no, it's actually woke because there's black people in it. See, it's funny. I got shit on my Concord video because somebody said that I was straw manning the opposition's argument when I said they just didn't want women in the game and that's why they hated it. But yeah, you see shit like this where the game they say the game is woke literally because there's a woman in the army and there's a black person in it, and it's like, I mean, what? How is that a straw man? That's literally their argument, man. I'm not straw manning anything. This is the arguments that they're making. And it really, I don't understand how you can see that as anything but racist. And say you're not mad that it doesn't fit the setting or whatever. You're just mad because they're there. And it's funny because they bitched about there was a black ultramarine when actually, if you look into the lore, I've kind of been going on a fucking lore dump spiral bunch of bullshit since playing Space Marine 2. Do not recommend. It's horrible. I mean, it's a very interesting lore, but good God, you'll be reading for days. If you look into the lore, it's actually lore accurate that there would be all ethnicities in that particular chapter, or in that particular, like, group. So, the people saying that shit don't even know the lore, and they don't know what they're talking about, which I didn't either, but yeah, it's ridiculous. Now, that story would be funny enough, right? Because it's hilarious that, you know, this supposedly anti-woke game, this is our champion, you know, this game is so great, and everyone loves it, and it's anti-woke, even though it's not anti-woke. There's no politics in the game. You know, I had somebody on fucking Reddit. I know I shouldn't engage on Reddit, and that was my first mistake. But tell me, he's like, oh, well, the game is political because Warhammer's political. He's like, stupid, everything is political bullshit. Get the fuck out of here and let people enjoy things, please. Fuck's sake. That would be funny enough to see the so-called anti-woke game they were championing be woke for some reason, and then have them fight amongst each other because of that. But then, 2 days after that, this Ghost of Yotei, or I don't know how you say it. I don't know how to pronounce Japanese things, but that game got unveiled, which basically shat all over Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, because the Assassin's Creed Shadows is already in that stupid zeitgeist as the quote-unquote woke game, this game got touted as the opposition and the opposite, which meant it had to be the anti-woke game, or the anti-SJW game, and you had people clambering above that fucking bandwagon of, oh, well, see, Sucker Punch knows how to do it right, you know, they're giving respect to the culture in the right way, you know, and they're the ones that are anti-woke, and they're the ones that are for the true gamers. And then it comes out that it's starring a woman. So you got one game that's starring a black dude and one that's starring a woman. It is what it is. I'm not going to comment about that in this video because I'll have more to say about it on my Ubisoft video when I make it. For the second time in like a week, it caused these people to completely turn inward and pretty much a cultural civil war amongst these people. They're like, well, we want to play these games and, you know, we want to be able to talk about them and stuff, but we don't want to be seen as woke or a social justice person, so, you know, we have to maybe revise our standards, and maybe Ghost of Yotei isn't woke just because there's a woman in it, and maybe just because there's a woman in it doesn't mean that it's woke, or maybe it does because the person who voices her is a woke person, which honestly, I've seen the tweets and stuff, she generally seems to be insufferable to be around, is generally not somebody who I would want to be around, nor somebody that I agree with very much at all, but nonetheless, she's a voice actor. She's not a writer. And even if she was a writer, dude, who gives a fuck? If it comes off in the game story, you know, and there's social justice themes or something, then fair enough, criticize it. Just because a person is involved with the project doesn't mean their views are going to be imparted onto it. You know, James Gunn is a good example in the movie world. This guy's literally as woke could be. I mean, this guy is as far left as you could possibly imagine. But yet you wouldn't know it just by watching his movies. That's the kind of shit that should be true across all media forms and should be seen as the standard, and was until about, 10 or so years ago. This does happen occasionally. This happened a couple years ago too. Not a couple, was it a year ago? Yeah, it was about a year ago. Last year with the whole Starfield pronouns thing, where it caused these people, where that guy had that stupid rant about some stupid bullshit in the character creator. It's funny how character creators always constantly seem to be coming up in these stupid conversations, isn't it? Back then when that happened, I've seen a couple of right-wing people that were all anti-SJW, anti-woke, hard into that whole echo chamber bullshit. They started to question themselves, like, man, is this really what we're freaking out about? Like, really? I mean, we're really gonna throw a small hissy fit over such a small, tiny little thing in a game like Starfield when there's so much more to bitch about that actually matters? Instead of bitching that the fucking quests are repetitive and boring and shallow, or that the character the role playing through your character sucks and the leveling sucks, or that there's no point in visiting 90% of the planets in the game, or any of that shit. We're not gonna bitch about any of that shit that actually affects the player and actually makes the game worse. We're gonna bitch about pronouns, like, really? So this happened then, and this is just the same thing, but happening again in a different form. It's causing a bunch of people to be like, really? We're really gonna take a stand on if any game that stars a woman is woke? Really? That's it?
Are we the baddies?
It's starting to make people question, and I think this does need to happen, because I think more and more people need to be fucking yanked out of these goddamn echo chambers and question themselves and realize just how fucking stupid that they've gotten. The thing is, people crave validation. The thing is, on YouTube, negativity gets views. Views is validation. This culture war bullshit tends to be negative. So it gets views and validation, and it gets people to keep making these videos. It is what it is, man. It's a very human thing. YouTube pushes it. People love to have other people to complain to and feel like they're sharing complaints with other people. Negativity thrives on YouTube. I don't have to tell you that. You can look all over the site and you can see that for yourself. What gets views and what gets clicks. So that's part of it. And the second part of it is they get into these echo chambers and they just reinforce each other constantly. And they never have somebody to beg the question. They never have somebody to play devil's advocate for the other side or try to help them see things from another point of view, even if they don't agree with that point of view. So they get entrenched into these positions, and therefore they get radicalized worse and worse until they get bad enough to the point where initially, they just didn't want politics in their games, but now they don't want women in their games, or they don't want black people in their games. I mean, that's definitely a huge role. And another thing is, a lot of these people, they're just edgelords, man. Even they don't believe this shit. And a lot of the people on YouTube don't. They just, again, it's a very human thing. They crave the validation that comes from it. They aren't actually as pissed off as they're pretending to be about this stuff. Do you really think that there's people that are upset about, like, pronouns in Starfield, or a Dragon Age character creator feature that they don't even have to use, or that the characters don't look the way they want? Do you really think that they're that pissed off about it? Nobody is, dude. But if they pretend to be pissed off about it, they can get views and clicks and people telling them, oh, you're so right, you're great. And it causes them, I think, even if they don't believe it at first, to start to believe it after a while, because, like, man, all these people agree with me. I must be right in some instance. It's equal parts people craving for the validation that they get from uploading these culture war videos and these woke videos. And IGN plays off it too. I mean, they make the articles. They made an article saying, oh, look, the new Dragon Age character creator is so great after that controversy happened with the other side, just to respond and provoke these people and give them more content, which is just as fucking stupid. IGN, you're an actual gaming publication. You get gaming reviews. You're for some reason well respected. I don't know why. When you write shit like this, you need to be better. All right, report on games. There's all kinds of shit coming out about Dragon Age with previews and trailers and all that crap. Report on that, alright? Don't fucking give these people fodder. But that's a whole nother topic for a different day. I guess my point I was trying to make before I went off on that whole IGN tangent is it's equal parts craving the validation they get from uploading the negative videos, and it's also equal parts people being edgy. They're just trying to offend people. They're trying to get people to respond, because that's another form of validation too. Any kind of response is something. I mean, that's why trolls exist. You know, trolls feed off of negative response. It's the same concept. You know, a lot of these people, and I'm not going to list them, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, who be deliberately as racist and sexist and edgy as possible. They're doing it to get a reaction. They don't actually believe this shit. And most of these content creators don't actually believe this shit, was my last point. They're saying it to get outrage clicks, because again, outrage and negativity gets clicks. That's how this shit happens, and I'm hoping that more events happen like this that make these people question themselves and realize just how ridiculous their arguments have gotten, and how stupid, you know, things have really gotten to the point where these are the arguments that they're making, and this is what we're talking about. Almost impossible to have a goddamn conversation about media online without devolving into politics. I'm hoping this shit ends, and I hate making these videos. This will probably be my last, like, video on this culture war crap for a while, unless something, you know, really interesting happens and I have a lot to say about it, because it's just exhausting, man. It seems like nobody actually wants to fight the concept of the culture war, just fight against having to deal with it like it used to be. They don't want politics in media. They want politics, but they only want their politics in media. I saw a Reddit thread the other day. This guy was basically saying the same thing I said in my last video about how, you know, we just don't want politics in our games. I'm sick of this. How come when I go to talk about Space Marine 2, all I see is a bunch of fucking woke videos or anti-woke videos? Which is true, but then you look in the comments of that section and, like, nobody is calling out IGN for responding to these people or calling out Kotaku for writing articles about it. So, because in actuality, it's not that they don't want politics or political discussions about games. They don't want games to have right-leaning political conversations, because it's Reddit. And you know what way they lean. I've made a video about it. And same thing, I've gotten shit from the other side saying, oh, you just don't want left or right-wing politics in games. People are more interested and concerned with entrenching themselves on their side rather than just fighting the entire concept of this whole stupid quote-unquote culture war to begin with. And I wish more people would, and they'd take a hard stance against it instead of just political grandstanding. But that's about it for this video. I just wanted to talk about, you know, the whole situation with these games that have come out and how it's kind of driven these people into a bunch of infighting, which is admittedly pretty amusing to watch. Hopefully some good things come from it, and hopefully IGN and Kotaku as well stop responding to these people with articles, and we can get back to actually talking about games again. That's it for this video. If you like this video or agree with this video, click the like. Disagree, click the dislike, or comment. Tell me how stupid I am. I tend to get a lot of that. Whatever you feel like you gotta do, you can go ahead and do it. For whatever ungodly reason you'd want to subscribe to my lame ass content, you can. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. Until next time, this has been HypnoJelly signing out. Thanks for watching.